The shocking incident that raised alarms. A former high school athlete walks into a Manhattan office building, leaves behind a chilling note, and takes his own life. His final word claimed the brain disease CTE drove him to it. He never played in the NFL, never even made it to college football, yet his convinced years of repeated head impacts rewired his mind. This story isn't fiction. It happened recently in the heart of New York City, and it's forcing America to face an uncomfortable truth. Chronic Traumatic Encephalopathy, or CTE, is not just a problem for aging NFL veterans. It's quietly affecting thousands of athletes, including kids and teens. And what you're about to hear might forever change the way you look at contact sports. What is CTE and why is it dangerous? CTE is a progressive, degenerative brain disease caused by repeated blows to the head and episodes of concussions or even subconcussive impacts, those hits that don't knock you out but still jolt the brain. The damage accumulates over time and leads to severe psychiatric symptoms, mood swings, depression, impulsivity, aggression, memory loss, and ultimately, a loss of self. It's diagnosed definitively only after death by identifying tau protein buildup in brain tissue. That's right, there's no living diagnosis, no blood test, no MRI that can confirm it while you're still alive. It's a silent killer, and new research shows the first signs can appear shockingly early. The data doesn't lie. Shocking research results. In one study by Boston University's CTE Center, 345 out of 376 former NFL players' brains examined post-mortem showed clear signs of CTE. That's a staggering 92%. But this isn't just about the NFL. In another case, a 17-year-old high school football player took his own life, and an autopsy revealed early-stage CTE. He was still a kid. The myth that CTE only affects professionals is now completely shattered. Contact sports at every level, pee-wee, high school, college, are producing brains that may already be damaged by the time a player hits 20. And parents, coaches, and even medical professionals are still catching up. Sports culture and repeated impacts. So why is this happening? Let's talk about the sports culture. From the very first practice, athletes are trained to tough it out, to shake it off, and keep going after a hit. Helmet-to-helmet collisions, body slams, even routine tackles. Each one might cause a mini trauma. And it's not just football. Hockey, rugby, soccer, and even wrestling involve repeated impact. Recent studies found that even heading a soccer ball multiple times per game can increase the risk of cognitive decline. Add this up over years, and the results are chilling. Real people, real suffering, cases that shock the world. Take Mike Webster, former Pittsburgh Steelers center and Hall of Famer. He died homeless, suffering from dementia, and his brain was one of the first to show signs of CTE. Or Junior So, the legendary linebacker who shot himself in the chest so his brain could be preserved for research. When doctors examined it, they found advanced CTE. These are high-profile cases, but for every well-known tragedy, there are hundreds more athletes suffering in silence, misdiagnosed with depression, bipolar disorder, or even schizophrenia. Symptoms that go unseen and misunderstood. One of the most terrifying parts of CTE is how it disguises itself. A promising student starts failing school. A cheerful kid becomes withdrawn. A disciplined athlete suddenly becomes reckless, aggressive, and explosive. Families see the changes but don't understand the cause until it's too late. And while medical science races to catch up, the NFL and other organizations face growing pressure. NFL's response and continued controversy. In 2016, after years of denial, the NFL publicly acknowledged a link between football and CTE. But their settlement, over $1 billion in payouts to former players, came with limitations. Players had to prove severe symptoms, and the league avoided taking responsibility for youth-level injuries. Many critics argue it was more damage control than actual change. Yes, the NFL introduced new helmet technologies, stricter concussion protocols, and rules to reduce dangerous hits. But in reality, concussions are still underreported, and players often return to the field too soon. According to the league's own report, concussions increased by 18% in the last 2 years. Why? Because faster, stronger athletes are hitting harder than ever. Helmet technology can reduce skull fractures, but it doesn't stop the brain from bouncing inside the skull. That's the root cause of CTE, not visible injuries, but invisible ones happening every play. Pressure to perform and the cost of denial. and the pressure to play is enormous. College scholarships, pro dreams, peer validation, all push athletes to ignore symptoms and keep going. Coaches aren't always trained to recognize early signs, and even when they are, protocols aren't enforced uniformly across schools or leagues. Let's not forget youth sports, where the damage might begin earliest. Boston University's research now recommends delaying tackle football until at least age 14 to reduce cumulative brain trauma. But many states still allow full contact play starting at age 6. Imagine a first grader taking hundreds of head hits a season, 4 years. It's legal, it's happening, and it's almost never talked about in parent-teacher meetings or school board discussions. Medical advances, a glimmer of hope. Now, you might ask, what's being done? There's progress, but it's slow. Medical researchers are developing biomarkers that may one day allow for living diagnosis of CTE. Helmet sensors now track impact data in some college programs, alerting coaches when a player receives too many hits. The NCAA and NFL have both banned certain drills and limited full contact practices. And education campaigns are spreading awareness. But this isn't enough. In a Harvard study, 1/3 of retired NFL players believed they had CTE, and that belief itself was linked to suicidal ideation, regardless of formal diagnosis. The fear of what's happening inside their heads eats away at them. Athletes report insomnia, paranoia, isolation. It's a psychological battle that plays out in bedrooms, hospitals, and therapist offices, not on ESPN. What we must do, action steps for the future. So what needs to happen? First, we need federal-level standards for youth sports, especially around head trauma. It shouldn't be a state-by-state decision whether a 10-year-old can play full-contact football. Second, we need funding for live diagnosis tools, blood markers, PET scans, or genetic screenings that help detect early stages of CTE. Third, players at every level need access to mental health support, not just after concussions, but throughout their careers. Pro teams should provide lifetime access to psychiatric care, and high schools should require baseline cognitive testing. Fourth, families need to talk. Parents, coaches, and kids should understand the risks, not to instill fear, but to make informed choices. Contact sports can still teach discipline, teamwork, and resilience, but they must be safer. Flag football, rule changes, better equipment, these aren't signs of weakness. They are signs we care about our kids more than we care about tradition. A call to awareness, breaking the silence. And finally, the media needs to keep talking. CTE doesn't trend every week, but it should never fade away completely. For every life lost, every parent grieving, and every player silently struggling, we need stories, awareness, and action. Because silence kills. If you've watched this far, it means you care, and that matters. So please hit the like button to support this message. Share this video with friends, especially those involved in youth sports. Comment below if you've been affected by CTE or want to share your story. And don't forget to subscribe for more deep, untold stories that matter. What's hidden inside the human brain shouldn't stay hidden forever. Together, we can bring light to what too many want to keep in the dark.